I think the Halloween movies are a lot of fun, but I have to be honest, Halloween is easily the most frustrating horror franchise in all of cinema. I'm gonna go ahead and rank the movies from worst to best without holding anything back. Now I know Halloween diehards are awful defensive when it comes to these movies, so I'm fully prepared to be raked across the coals for my ranking. At the bottom of the barrel, of course it's Halloween Resurrection. The great dumpster fire, God's greatest insult, Mother Nature's mistake, or as I like to call it, Disney Channel presents Halloween. Yeah, this movie really sucks. It's a prime example of studio heads looking at Halloween fans and seeing nothing but hungry animals that'll eat whatever shit you slide in front of them. This is a trend throughout the entirety of the Halloween franchise. They just really don't seem to care what fans want. Halloween Resurrection is an insult to everything great about the franchise, and it's a kick to the crotch for all of Halloween fans. At number 12, I have Halloween H2O. I know a lot of fans glaze the hell out of this movie and view it as some sort of valiant comeback for the Halloween franchise, and I just don't feel it. If Resurrection is the Disney Channel Halloween, then H2O is the Nickelodeon Halloween movie. It's a whole lot of build-up for some limp dick delivery. Michael and Laurie are both dull and uninteresting in this movie. The mask is bad when it isn't CGI, and when it is CGI, it's almost criminal. The best way for me to express how I feel about this film is spelled out in the scene when Laurie gets the fire axe. She marches through the dark campus calling for Michael like a fed-up badass. She loses the axe like 30 seconds later and then proceeds with the most unconvincing game of cat and mouse I've ever seen. Michael is mindless and stupid in H2O. There really is no showdown. They just sort of set up Laurie with the axe so she can use it later to decapitate Michael. All of this just to set up Halloween Resurrection. If you really wanted Laurie to kill Michael and put an end to their story, then you have them duke it out right there in the school, and after a drawn-out bloody grudge match, you give Laurie the axe again and let her chop her way to glory. But no, we can't do that. The movie needed a sequel because an executive somewhere loves cocaine and hookers. A whole lot of setup, lackluster delivery. I think it misses the mark on almost every aspect. It's just a lot more rewatchable than Resurrection. Coming in at number 11 is Rob Zombie's Halloween. I like a lot of things about this movie despite it being so low on the list. I love the masks in the movie, not only Michael's signature mask, but all the ones that he makes as a kid and as an adult in the institution. I think it was a good idea to give Michael's mask a reason, and I also think Tyler Mane is great as Michael. I know some think a hulking Michael Myers is really just a second-rate Jason Voorhees, but I don't think that's entirely true. Mane's performance was something entirely new for the franchise, and I think it's good in general. It's just unfortunate that the rest of the film was written so poorly. The dialogue is unusually bad, and all of the time wasted on Michael's origin story really feels like a vehicle for Sherry Moon Zombie just to be in the movie, rather than an examination of Michael's descent into madness. To be honest, this film could be number 12 quite easily. The one true advantage that it has is Brad Dourif. That actually moves it up a spot just because of him alone. Now, this is the part of my ranking that might get me stabbed. At number 10, I have Halloween 4, The Return of Michael Myers. I love the opening credits of the movie, and the initial lead up with Loomis chasing Myers really sets everything up perfectly. I just don't think it really delivers what that sequence sells us. The rest of the movie is just one big letdown for me. Sure, there are some good moments peppered throughout, but overall it's a lot of the same stuff I said before. Great setup for mediocre delivery. I already mentioned the opening scene and how I think it's a bit misleading, but here's another example. When the whole group is held up at Sheriff Meeker's house, we get that killer shot of Michael's face lit up in the distant shadows. Not long after, Brady declares they're trapped inside the house, only to be killed moments later. This sets up what could be a suspenseful game of hide and seek throughout the huge Meeker house, but nah, they just escape out the attic and onto the roof, just so that they can go out and just run around some more. Also, that ending that everyone praises, are you really buying what it's setting up? Michael Myers isn't 10 feet tall, but he's a formidable challenge in any situation. No disrespect to Danielle Harris, but little Jamie comes at me with those scissors, I'd Sparta kick her straight in the chest. Suspense eliminated, evil destroyed, movie over, franchise discontinued. The real joke is that fans were pissed off that Michael wasn't in Halloween 3, but were overjoyed by his return in a Temu mask and Ray Lewis shoulder pads. It's all rather insulting to the fans, despite our overwhelming inability to realize it. The studio pretty much said, oh, the fans want Michael back? Just a guy in a dark suit, give him a white mask, make him kill some people. Who cares if it looks like shit? These idiots don't care. I still rewatch Halloween 4 at least once per year, but it's not a movie that I'll ever let off the hook. If you don't like that, that's fine. It's a hill I'm willing to die on. Coming in at number 9 on my list is Halloween 5, The Revenge of Michael Myers. I know this placement might enrage some fans as well, but I think this film is better than 4 just by a tad bit. I know there are parts in this film that are flat out ridiculous, but unlike Halloween 4, I think Halloween 5 actually owns its absurdity. The continuation of Jamie's story isn't that great here, but I do commend the filmmakers for not trying to expand on that awful idea at the ending of Halloween 4. Halloween 5 has some real palpable suspense and some brutal kills throughout. I'm not a huge fan of the Nick Cage mask, but either way, I still rewatch this film at least once per year. I know it's not everyone's favorite. Hell, some people have Part 5 ranked at the bottom. I think it's just fine. Nothing perfect, nothing extravagant, it's fine. Number 8 on my list is Halloween 2018. First of all, this movie's title is dumb as hell. The whole requel era was weird enough, but naming a legacy sequel the same thing as the original property is a different level of stupidity. I don't get why they tried to turn Halloween into some sort of meditation on trauma or the nature of evil. Their ideas were rooted in truth, but their approach was just so pretentious that it makes the dialogue seem so mechanical. This is only the beginning of the overwritten Blumhouse scripts. Characters in this film say the dumbest things, and they do so in 15 words when it could have been said in 5. Other than Allison, we don't really have any non-Michael characters that are worthwhile. Not even Laurie. The whole Sarah Connor angle could have been great, but again, the poor script makes her cut corners, which in turn undercuts her entire arc. The comedy really isn't there, which is sad because Danny McBride is one of the funniest dudes in Hollywood. But unfortunately, he dug into the bottom of his joke bag when he wrote this one. I give 2018 higher marks because of James Jude Courtney as Michael. It's just sad that we get such a great Michael Myers in such a bad film. Coming in at number 7 is Halloween Ends, the scorned stepchild of the franchise. I get why most people hate this movie. It's not really hard to understand. It's arguably the most ridiculous of the Blumhouse films. The script feels just as forced and overwritten as the 2 films before it, where he's somehow made even worse after they sort of shit on her character in Halloween Kills. When Michael was incarcerated, she basically imprisoned herself, but now that he's free, she's living without a care and writing a book. On one hand, Halloween Ends is a billboard for what's wrong with the Halloween franchise and essentially every sequel following Halloween 3. Michael Myers is like a rogue fire hose that no new filmmaker can really control. Each new movie wrestles with how to form a cohesive story around him that doesn't end up feeling contrived. Halloween Ends is really no exception. Michael's relation to the story is strangely disconnected, especially seeing as it's supposed to be the end to his saga. Although it leaves a lot to be desired, I still have a lot of fun with Halloween Ends despite the fact that it misses the mark on a lot of things. The advantage Ends has over films below it on this list can be summed up in just 2 words: subverted expectations. I did my absolute best to avoid spoilers and went into this movie blind. It didn't deliver what I expected, but I'm not gonna lie and say I wasn't thoroughly entertained by it. Even though Ends falls short of greatness by a good margin, I still think it's the most courageous Halloween sequel since Halloween 3. Well, second most courageous sequel since Halloween 3. At number 6, I have Rob Zombie's Halloween 2. When I first saw this film, I didn't know what to make of it. I was so confused that I didn't watch it again for a couple years, and when I finally did give it another try, so much of it was different from what I remembered that I was confused over whether or not I actually watched it the first time. Come to find out, my initial watch was the theatrical version, and my second was the director's cut. In the end, I prefer the theatrical cut of Halloween 2, much like I do with Rob Zombie's first film. This movie does go down some unusual roads, but the script isn't as constrained as Rob Zombie's first movie. I love the fact that he took Michael and the entire Halloween story and gave us a look at what happens after. We see the scars on the survivors, we live in the trauma that's slowly drowning them. The entire cast does a great job of portraying that despair. Of course, Brad Dourif is the standout here. His acting is otherworldly as always. I just wish Rob Zombie would have focused more on the pursuit of Michael by a frenzied Sheriff Brackett instead of the sort of wandering, psychedelic vagabond trip that we get in Halloween 2. There are so many great things about Rob Zombie's movies, and then there's the obvious plot devices or unnecessary characters that exist solely to put Sherry Moon Zombie in the movie. Well, she offed herself in the remake, so she can't come back in a sequel, right? Wrong! There will be flashbacks, and there will be dream sequences, and hallucinations, and apparitions. All jokes aside, I don't think her inclusion ruins the film. It just makes it unnecessarily weird and confusing. I still respect Rob Zombie's Halloween 2 because in the end, it's another subversion of expectations. It may not be everyone's cup of tea, but it's the only Halloween film aside from the original that actually feels like an artist's creative vision and not just another sequel quickly sewn together to make a few bucks. Coming in at number 5 is Halloween Kills. This film gets a lot of hate, and on a certain level, I think it's quite deserved. The whole Evil Dies Tonight crap, that's just a symptom of a sick screenplay. And I'm not talking X Games sick. This script has some real problems. I'd say Halloween Kills is the worst film in the Blumhouse trilogy in terms of dialogue, and really side characters in general. Laurie's weirdly confined to a hospital again, as if David Gordon Green never watched Halloween 2. For some reason, they try to make Halloween a political statement about mob mentality. That's all dog shit, and it's not even close to everything the film gets wrong. But to be honest, all of my negative criticism cowers in Michael Myers' shadow, because he's an absolute tank in Halloween Kills. This is Michael how we've always imagined him. I love that we finally get to essentially ride shotgun on his rampage through Haddonfield. From the opening fire massacre to the final fight against the armed mob, I love everything every bit of Michael's presence in Halloween Kills. The brutality here is turned up to nasty new heights. Michael really gets to work in Halloween Kills, and these moments are the only thing that makes Kills worthwhile. If David Gordon Green focused more on Michael and less on cringy side characters that speak like actors in a high school play, the movie could easily be top 3 in the franchise. But that's not the reality we live in. Halloween Kills is a dumpster fire, bookended by a phenomenal central performance from James Jude Courtney. It's a bad movie that gets a lot wrong. Call me crazy, I love this movie. At the number 4 spot, I have Halloween 6: The Curse of Michael Myers. Out of the Thorn trilogy, I think Part 6 is the best film by a metric ton. I prefer the theatrical version because it's far less weird and ridiculous. Halloween 6 captures that eerie Midwest autumn vibe that those opening credits of Halloween 4 promised but never quite delivered. Michael's a ruthless menace here, easily his best appearance since 1981's Halloween 2. It's also fun to see a Hollywood superstar like Paul Rudd cutting his teeth in horror movies. His performance is a bit silly at times, but overall I think he does a pretty good job of portraying a traumatized kid sort of lost in a conspiracy loop. He's driven wild in the head, really just searching for Michael's true motive. I've never been a big fan of the Cult of Thorn stuff. I really think it's just a failed attempt to explain Michael away, which they really shouldn't even try to do in the first place. It's yet another example of the filmmaker's lack of understanding when it comes to Michael as a narrative tool. Fans don't need rhyme or reason for why Michael kills or how he feels about it. In spite of all my criticisms, I rewatch Halloween 6 multiple times each year. It's always in my fall rotation, and if I catch it on TV, which I seem to do often, I'll definitely watch whatever remains of the runtime. I can't say that about the rest of the films on this list. It's definitely not the best Halloween sequel, but it's top 4 without a doubt. At number 3, I have Halloween 3: Season of the Witch. It's always sad to think about what could have been when it comes to the Halloween franchise, but that pain is most intense when you get to Halloween 3. Although Michael was cooked out of existence in Halloween 2, fans were still shocked and dismayed that he didn't return for revenge in Halloween 3. This was a sad turning point for the franchise because now the story is less about the holiday and more about Michael. Now obviously Michael Myers is a great character and I love all these movies despite how much shit I talk, but you can't deny that bringing Myers back again and again calls for constant justification. It's a cult. No, he's the essence of evil. No, when he kills he transcends. He's not human. That part is dead. The only way to keep it all going is to constantly mold Michael's mystery into contrivance. 3 respected Michael's story by leaving it the hell alone. Imagine a new Halloween film each year. New story with that same amazing atmosphere. That's exactly what you get with Halloween 3. That same badass synth, great suspense, some great scares, and great gore. Tom Atkins is the man. I liked how they didn't just try to make another damsel in distress horror movie with a virginal protagonist who gets straight A's. Nah, we get a doctor who blows off his kids to fuck a fembot. The villain is another great aspect. A modern day warlock factory baron with an army of lifelike androids aiding him in his ultimate goal of killing millions of children on Halloween night. What's not to love here? Makes me pretty happy that so many fans love this film. It really is a true classic that perfectly satirizes both corporate and consumer culture. It's some ultra weird, high concept insanity. Sometimes I wonder if it's my second favorite of the franchise, but today it's number 3. My second favorite Halloween film is Rick Rosenthal's Halloween 2. Now I know John Carpenter hates this movie and a lot of fans seem to think that means it's fundamentally bad. I just really don't get that argument. Of course Halloween 2 will never eclipse the first film. Is there anyone out there who really believes that nonsense? Part 2 isn't trying to be Carpenter's original film. It builds upon a similar sense of dread, but this time around the audience gets a better glimpse into the madness. They ramp up the gore and linger longer on the violent moments. Now I do understand why some fans don't like it and see Part 2 as a sort of desecration of what made the first film so great. I don't agree with that at all. When the film released in 1981, we were inundated with Halloween-inspired slashers that dialed up the blood, the gore, and the sleaze. All Halloween 2 did was adapt these newly enhanced tropes and then utilize them better than any other slasher. I think this film paired with the original might be the greatest ever 1-2 punch when it comes to double features. Halloween 2 glides in and picks up right where the original left off in an almost seamless fashion. I love how mean and relentless Michael is here. Sure, he's a ruthless ghoul in the first film, but it's Halloween 2 that allowed Michael's brutal side to really blossom. Sometimes I find myself skipping the first and heading right into Part 2. I'll never rank it above the original, but to me it's miles and miles ahead of the other films below it on this list. At the number 1 spot I have John Carpenter's Halloween. Shocking, I'm sure. What else can I say about Halloween that hasn't already been said? It's an absolute pillar of horror cinema and also an absolute champion of independent filmmaking. Carpenter and crew were magically able to craft something so simple and subdued, yet it feels like a story so big it might never fit on screen. In Carpenter's world, evil is dropped into the safe confines of suburbia, and who is there to pay the price of the dismissive authority figures? Our innocent youth, of course. But in Halloween, even the kids aren't so innocent. They drink, they smoke pot, they have premarital sex, and in slasher fashion, they're punished for it. Even Laurie Strode, our virginal brainiac final girl, takes a puff off the old doink, and look how she gets punished. Sure, she ultimately escapes with their life, but in the meantime she gets stalked and stabbed after all her friends get knocked off. There's a thread through our society that comes from films like Halloween. Even if you haven't seen the movies, odds are you know who Michael Myers is. The character and the franchise are larger than life at this point. Hell, even our lizard leaders in the US government think so. It was added to the Library of Congress National Film Registry 2 decades ago. Halloween is one of a kind. That's ultimately why it's number 1 for me. So that was my dumpster fire ranking. Did you love it? Did you hate it? Let me know in the comments below. Thanks for watching if you made it this far, and until next time, stay safe out there.